SNY is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Visit us at titosvodka.com. By Fidelis Care, quality health coverage, it's our mission. And by Bud Light, famous among friends. Live out your Mets fantasy this January. Suit up with Mets legends and take the field at Mets Fantasy Camp in Port St. Lucie, Florida, presented by Hospital for Special Surgery. For more information, visit Mets.com/fantasy camp or call 718-559-3035 today. Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Well, the Mets had a 500 record in June, a losing record in every other month. Only the third year since 1968 and the first time since 1993 that the Mets will fail to have a winning record in any month of the season. The last day has arrived. Final game of the season in Philadelphia. First pitch is coming right up. Park moments ago, Pete Mackanin and Terry Collins came out to home plate to exchange lineup cards, and they shared a hug. It's already been announced that Mackanin will not be back as Phillies manager, and in all probability the same is going to be true for Terry Collins. And this Phillies team got out of the dugout and gave Mackanin an ovation, and the crowd picked up on it as well, and there were Met players as well applauding for Terry Collins. So nice recognition for both these baseball lifers in what will likely be for both of them their final game as big league skippers.
The city of brotherly love, boy, it just shines through this Sunday afternoon. Pete Mackanin's got to be a very emotional moment for him as well as Terry. But this crowd here on its feet with the standing ovation, was very moving, Gare.
Well, it's a crystal clear day in Philadelphia. Beautiful afternoon, temperature in the 60s. And now we're going to pause for our national anthem.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you all please stand and help us honor the United States of America. Out of respect for our country, we ask that you please remove your hats. Veterans, please salute. You're invited to join the Central Bucks High School West Choir under the direction of Dr. Joseph Ort as they sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, the final day of any baseball season is always bittersweet, particularly for teams that don't have postseason in front of them. Everybody involved in the game, players, coaches, even broadcasters, will be scattering to the 4 wins once this game is over, and one more chance to put on a show and then break for the offseason. And in this case, when you've got both managers reaching the end of their managerial tenures, it really makes it that much more emotional.
Well, Terry's been here 7 years, and you can just see the look on his face. You can see the emotion he's holding in. Any season, it's a long grind, and you 25 guys working together with 5 coaches and a manager. When it's over and it's unsuccessful, it's a bit of relief, but it's also a bit of I don't know, a satisfaction. It's another year, depending on the year you had, another year of camaraderie, and it's another year in a big league uniform.
Here's how the Mets will line up this afternoon. The Geico starting lineup. Some of the younger guys getting a chance today. Tomas Nido, just his second start. Gavin Cicchini at second base. Matt Reynolds will get a start in left field. Phil Evans at third base. As the Mets try and close the season on a positive note, they won last night in 11 innings, trying to take this final series.
There's the Toyota numbers for the starting pitcher, Nick Pivetta, who's coming off 2 good starts. He bested back on September 18th. Clayton Kershaw here beat him 4-3. His last start against Atlanta, 6 shutout innings. His 4th start against the Mets, and he's 1-1 record. And the Coors Light defense for the Philadelphia Phillies. Andrew Knapp's going to catch the game tonight. J.P. Crawford, another start at shortstop. And the outfield, Altier, Williams, Herrera.
3 o'clock start for everybody in baseball today so that we could follow the last day pennant races, but there are no races. First pitch by Pivetta. Nori Aoki is taken outside for ball 1, and we're underway. Aoki finishing strong. He walked 3 times last night, scored 3 runs.
He has definitely made a good showing of himself.
And Pivetta throws the fastball in for a strike, 1-1.
And this 3 o'clock start today, which everybody's starting at the same time, the last game of the season. You're going to have a lot of shadow coming up shortly. That's going to affect and be a positive factor for the starting pitcher.
No clouds at all today. The shadows encroaching from the third base line, and they should be to home plate shortly. And Aoki fouls one away, 1-2. Phil Evans on deck, then Brandon Nimmo for the Mets against Pivetta, the Victoria, British Columbia native. Undrafted out of high school, went to junior college in New Mexico, proved himself there. 4th-round pick by the Nationals in 2013. And the Phillies picked up Nick Pivetta when they traded Jonathan Papelbon away to Washington at the trading deadline 2 years ago. And it looks like it might be a good deal for them. Pivetta's overall numbers aren't good, but he has shown flashes. He's mentioned his last start against the Braves was outstanding. And one of his 3 starts against the Mets this year was something to write home about. 7 innings, 1 hit in a game back in July at Citi Field.
Correct. And in his last 2 starts, the Mets have roughed him up 9 2/3 and 12 runs.
So his 26th start, he made his debut on April 30th. And the 2-2 to Aoki is fouled away. Just got a piece of that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. The Mets come into the final day at 70 and 91. Certainly not what they had in mind when the year began, but you know, when you think about this season and balance expectations versus performance, the year that it most closely resembles is 1992, a year when the Mets expected to do big things. There's Aoki striking out for the first out. And if the Mets win today, they would wind up 71 and 91. If they lost today, they would be 70 and 92, which is exactly what their record was in that 1992 season. Here's Phil Evans getting the start at third base today. Evans has had pinch hit appearances in each of the first 2 games of this series and had a hit in each one. 10 for 32 in his big league career, hitting .313. Terry Collins was asked before the game today about some of the younger players and what he has seen and what has surprised him as the Mets have gone so much more tilted toward youth down the stretch of the year. And he labeled Evans as maybe the biggest surprise amongst the group. Guy who's really come out of nowhere to show that he might be able to hit at this level. He's fielded his position well when he's gotten a chance to play in the field. And he gets drilled by the pitch, and the Mets have the first base runner of the day.
I like what I've seen from Evans. I got him on the elbow. He's got the padding, so should be okay.
If not, he's got all winter to rest.
It's the old term. You got that right.
Here's Brandon Nimmo.
Could have had 2 home runs last night, Brandon, but the wind blowing in.
Well, he was not the only victim of that howling wind from the north last night. Rhys Hoskins looked like he had a walk-off home run for the Phillies that came up just shy of the wall. But Nimmo had his first big league triple last night, drove in a couple of runs. 43rd game Brandon has started. He's gotten a fine opportunity to present himself, getting ready for next year. And Pivetta falls behind him 2-0.
Now look at the outfield defense, Gary, particularly center field and right field. We mentioned last night with Nimmo up. Williams, who doesn't cover ground at all out there, was kind of in and on the line, and a couple extra base hits in that right center field gap. Look where they moved him now. They're a day late and the nickel short.
A little bloop, and Hernandez goes back to get it for the second out.
I mean, with Williams out there, what we've seen of Nick Williams, he's not a speed burner to say the least, and doesn't cover a lot of ground, puts a lot of pressure on Herrera in center. So when you have that kind of disparity in coverage, you've got to gap your outfielders, and the doubles are down the line. They're a given anyway. Most of the base hits are they're driven in the gaps. They're the power gaps. You want to always like outfields to play the gaps.
There's Dominic Smith hitting cleanup today. Dom is 1 for 7 in this series, including a home run. And he takes a fastball strike from Pivetta. Evans at first with 2 out. Ball and a strike to Smith. Sean Barber calling the balls and strikes today. A young umpire. Jerry Lane works at first. Marvin Hudson is second. Dan Bellino, who called a lot of ball fours last night.
Boy, he had a tight strike zone, did he not?
He's the third.
My gosh.
It was a long game for a lot of reasons. That was one of them. Mets drew 10 walks last night.
You got a 5th and 6th place team out here. I know if you got that kind of love for the game, I don't put it aside.
5th and 6th, really?
So is it 4th and 5th?
Thank
Sorry,
you.
I keep thinking in terms of my division when I play.
I mean, if you're in 6th place right now, you are in big trouble.
Sorry. Please forgive me. I'm going back to the East and West divisions.
Well, you know, there was a time, and the Mets experienced this quite a bit in the early days, when you could finish 10th.
It's
when
true.
It was a 10-team league with no divisions back in the 60s.
Oh.
Smith has 2 hits and 5 career at-bats against Pivetta. He's making his 4th start against the Mets. Aoki at first with 2 out. And a full count to Smith with Tomas Nido hitting 5th in the order. He would be next. Evans gets set to run. And Smith lifts one foul. That'll go out of play. It is, Keith, the first day of October. Every team dreams about playing October baseball.
Yes.
It's not. This is not what they mean by that.
Well, October 1st means for me, I got 20 days and I'm going to turn 64.
Really?
And if Juan Marichal will turn whatever age he's going to turn, and if Mickey Mantle was still with us, we'd all share the birthdays together.
And the curveball outside for ball 4. The Mets have 2 men on. And that brings us to the city upcoming schedule. And that's exactly the way we drew it up.
Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Here's Gary.
Nope. Just a blank. Lots of blanks. So Tomas Nido will get the turn at bat with 2 men on. Nido making his 2nd start. 3 hits and 6 at bats after spending most of the year in Double-A. Evans at 2nd. Smith at 1st with 2 out. Nido fouls off the fastball. Nido, a former minor league batting champ, had a rough season this year with the bat, but he has looked awfully good since coming up.
He has a very peculiar stance. He kind of squats down and almost like he's sitting in a chair. Upright with his upper body, but crouched and bent at the knees.
And he hits the breaking ball out to right. Williams had trouble with it for a moment. Battling the sun, he makes the catch, and that retires the side. Noah Syndergaard will head to the mound when we come back. final day of the season. Jorge Alfaro got whacked in the head last night by a Juan Lagares elbow, and so Andrew Knapp will start the final game of the year behind the plate for the Phils. J.P. Crawford again at shortstop. In Pete Maccannon's final game as manager, the Phils go up against Noah Syndergaard.
Well, there's Noah's Land Rover numbers. Can you believe it? This is his 7th start. Oh boy. Well, he's just tweaking right now, getting around 25-30 innings. And the Lexus Metzi defense, Tomas Nida, who just made the final out in that inning behind the plate, gets the final start of the season. Cecchini gets the start at second. He hasn't had a lot of playing time. Matt Reynolds out in left field. That's a news flash.
Cesar Hernandez leads off for the Phillies, and Syndergaard's first fastball at 100 miles an hour is in for a strike. Hernandez 2 for 7 in the series. Syndergaard threw 5 pitches in his start against the Nats 8 days ago. Gave up 3 hard hit balls, but got through the inning unscathed, and then he was done. He'll get a little more of an opportunity today, somewhere up to 25 pitches. Terry Collins basically said if he has an 8-pitch first inning, he'll go out for the second. If he has an 18-pitch first inning, probably not.
It's going to be about how strenuous he has to work here.
Lifted to shallow center. Coming on is Nimmo, and he puts it away to retire Hernandez, one away.
Off-speed pitch got him out in front. But Noah looks very fit. Looks trim around the waist. Well, he wasn't sitting around playing tiddlywinks all this whole time, I tell you that.
He also wasn't lifting massive amounts of weight.
And not throwing. Well, he couldn't throw. He had the heel. I don't mean that kind of heel when you look at a command to your dog.
Here's Odubel Herrera hitting second in the order. Herrera 2 for 7 in this series. And it's smacked to second.
Oh.
Nice stop by Cecchini. Up and throwing him out. So Cecchini makes a fine play, and Noah's retired the first 2.
Hot smash in between Hop. Nice play.
Syndergaard's thrown 4 pitches, all strikes, gotten the first 2 outs. And now Aaron Altair, who's 1 for 8 in this final series. And it's taken low and in for ball 1. Shadow's just about to encroach on home plate. Syndergaard is hard enough to hit without shadows. But if he goes out for the second, he might have them fully at his mercy.
Good.
Little bouncer back to him, and he has another quick inning. It took him just 6 pitches to get through that first, and that means Noah will get the second inning as well. No score after 1.
Good.
Dan Warthen, after that Noah Syndergaard inning, basically saying to Terry Collins something along the lines of, "Don't you wish you'd had that all year?" Ahmed Rosario leads off the second inning for New York. Rosario 1 for 9 in this series, had an RBI double last night. His 43rd start. He's at 161 at bats. A nice test for Rosario, who almost certainly will be the Mets' starting shortstop at the beginning of next year. And he takes a breaking ball out of the strike zone, 1-1. Rosario, then Matt Reynolds and Gavin Cecchini, and if anybody gets on, Noah Syndergaard will get a turn at bat here in the second. And Pivetta pops a fastball on the outside edge, 1-2. Noah's already got the batting gloves on. He's ready to go. So let's see, he's thrown 2 innings since coming back from the DL, and he's thrown 11 pitches in the 2 innings. Rosario goes around for strike 3, and Pivetta's got his second strikeout. So 1 away now. Matt Reynolds getting started left field today. Reynolds has started games at 6 different positions for the Mets this year. 110 total at bats, hitting .236. And it's in at the knees for a strike, 1-1. Gavin Cecchini hitting 8th in the order. He's on deck. And the curveball misses inside, 2-1.
Really a beautiful day today. The wind was really whipping last night, folks, and it was chilly. But boy, the flags are limp, and it is just a glorious afternoon.
Even though all the races have been decided on this final day, there are still some things that can be accomplished. For instance, in Miami,
yes,
Giancarlo Stanton is batting leadoff for the Marlins today to get him as many at bats as possible in his quest to hit his 60th home run.
I kind of challenge that a little bit, Gary, because for me, it's something out of the ordinary when you lead off a game and you're not used to leading off in the leadoff spot. He's hit second most of the year. He's going to get, you know, they're hoping to get 5 at bats.
Although last night he was left on deck in their last at bat. So I think that's what inspired Don Mattingly to put him lead off today, as Reynolds wraps one to short and Crawford throws him out 2 away. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience with the MLB.com at Bat app. Get New York Mets home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat today. Follow the Mets all season.
That's right. You got 8 innings left.
You know, you can put a little carrot in there and put next. Next season. Next regular season game will be March 29th. They'll open the season at home against the St. Louis Cardinals Thursday, March 29th.
That's very nice, opening up with the Cards.
And the problem with that is it means it's the Cardinals' only visit of the season.
Well, that's what I don't like about the only thing I don't like about the 3 divisions is you just don't see the other teams twice, home and away. I'd accept 3 times.
No,
I'm begging.
Again, it's not necessarily the 3 divisions, it's all the interleague play.
Absolutely.
20 games against the other league, and it robs you of that many games that you could play against some traditional rivals. Cecchini fouls one back, and it's 2-1. Cecchini hasn't gotten much playing time coming down the stretch. Jose Reyes has been playing just about every day at second base. And Cecchini, when he has played, has not hit much. He's batting just .203.
Well, in Cecchini's defense, it's a very tough spot for a youngster to hardly play and pinch hit.
Whacks one out to right, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So the Mets have the first base hit of the day, a 2-out single for Cicchini, and that'll get Syndergaard to the plate.
I'm sure Noah's happy about this. High fastball. Cicchini does stay level on that pitch very nicely. Just kind of places it out in right field.
Syndergaard 2 for 8 at the plate this year. 4 career home runs and 109 career at bats. And his first time at the plate in ages. You know, it was against the Phillies that he had his next to last start before he went on the DL. He gave up 5 runs against the Phils in 7 innings in a game at Citi Field. That's after that he was diagnosed with the biceps tendonitis and then refused the MRI, and then went back to the mound 10 days later against the Nationals, and he was in the game in Washington. He got pulled in the 2nd inning.
I think you said it last night that was the turning point right there, the Waterloo for the Mets if they were the French. That was just a stunner for the ball club. I don't think they ever recovered from that, Gary.
Well, they already had Cespedes hurt at that point. They had gotten Familia back from suspension, but they would lose him 2 weeks later. And at that point, best hitter, best pitcher, best reliever, all out for significant periods of time. You knew it was not going to be likely that this team was going to make it where they wanted to go. Syndergaard strikes out looking. 3rd strikeout for Pivetta. No score in the 2nd in Philadelphia. The end of the season means that Keith and Ron and I will not be coming into your living rooms on a nightly basis. But if for some reason you are a glutton for punishment and you want more of us, you can follow us on Instagram all through the off season at Gary Keith Ron. You never know what you're going to see.
Ma, Pa.
What's with the tire?
That was all fake. It was prop. Look at these expressions on our face. Well, it's been again another fun year.
Priceless.
Tough year.
Priceless.
But nevertheless, life isn't a bowl of cherries, Gary.
Rhys Hoskins facing Noah Syndergaard for the first time. This is a matchup that we may see a lot of over the coming years. Hoskins, the emerging power source in the middle of the Phillies lineup, against Syndergaard. Noah threw just 6 pitches in the first inning. And he breaks off a slider that misses low. 2-0. Spectrum high-speed pitch is already a victory for Syndergaard. Threw 100 on his first pitch of the day.
Well, and that's good enough, Noah.
Yeah, 100's good. And now he falls behind on Hoskins, 3-0. Nick Williams on deck, then Maikel Franco for the Phillies. So it's the first time since April that he's thrown an inning, sat down, and come back for a second inning. And quickly behind his first hitter, 3-0. And swinging 3-0, Hoskins fouls it off. Hoskins still looking for his first home run against the Mets. He's at 18 against the league, but none in 30 at bats against the Mets.
Almost had one last night that would have ended the game, but that wind was treacherous. Nimmo would have had his second 2-run home run game.
Yeah, Hoskins hit his in the bottom of the 10th, and it just got completely knocked down. And Terry Collins said he was shocked that Cabrera's game-winning home run went out, because he said he didn't think that he hit it as well as Hoskins hit his.
A little lower trajectory. You know, who knows that left field wall where he hit it might have didn't get above where the wind can grab it. But we were very happy at the result.
3-2 coming to Hoskins, and he walked him. Only the third walk that Syndergaard has issued this year in 29 1/3 innings. He is so stingy with the bases on balls for somebody who throws as hard as he does.
Well, his command is extraordinary.
Well, the one thing that watching Syndergaard for these 2 abbreviated starts at the end of the year does is it just gives you a little better level of confidence that going into the offseason, the Mets can count on DeGrom and Syndergaard to be their 2 cornerstones in the rotation next year.
Nice 1-2 punch, and I mentioned it last night. I am very, very, I think, what would be the word? I have a positive feeling, optimistic. Thank you, Truck. About Matt's getting the same surgery that DeGrom did, moving the nerve, and maybe that'll be the remedy for Steven to pitch pain-free, because he's got good stuff, and it's obvious that his stuff was affected with the discomfort that he was getting in his elbow. So, you know, a left-hander in a staff rotation's always nice to have.
Now the question about Steven's always going to be how long can he maintain that and stay healthy. Also, how many innings he's going to be able to throw next year, coming off another abbreviated season.
Big jump. Forget it.
Pitch out, but even with the pitch out, no chance to get Hoskins, who has his second stolen base.
Well, don't forget, the clubs have not forgotten that Syndergaard. No, that's a big jump. The clubs have not forgotten that Syndergaard had a major issue holding runners on.
Now, he made great strides in the early season this year. Really worked hard at varying his times to the plate, being a little quicker home, holding the ball a little longer. In fact, there was only 1 stolen base against him in his 5 April starts.
Well, you know what? It's a smart move. I don't know if Hoskins reasoned this out. You've got Syndergaard out there who's only on his second start. He's missed a whole season. His focus is going to be so much on home plate and having a good outing and putting the pitches where he is that he's going to be forgetful on the bases.
Saw Chris Flexen getting ready to be the long man behind Syndergaard as Williams swings through the fastball 2-2. And right now the shadows are starting to come into play.
Yes.
And you can see from Williams' swing that he did not see that ball.
Needs to go a little further out. You got enough of that ball in the light before it dips into the shadow, which was really, if you look at it, 100 miles an hour. It's a split second in the shadow.
I mean, you can see just from the shot in center field the difference in the light. Curveball fouled off, 2-2. Well, Syndergaard has had an opportunity here, throwing more than just the 5 pitches he did against the Nats, to use all 4 of his pitches. Seeing some change-ups and curveball, in addition to the fastball and slider. So it's the first time he's been able to do that. Hoskins at second and nobody out. And Williams strikes out for the first out of the inning. That's the first strikeout for Syndergaard.
Well, Syndergaard looks good. He's throwing hard. It looks like he hasn't skipped a beat. That's a changeup. You got it.
93-mile-an-hour changeup.
It's not fair. Look at the sink. And that's a strike, Gary. If you take that, that's a strike. That is a pitcher's pitch, and he looks in. He doesn't look like it's the last game of the season. He looks like it's in mid-season form.
Well, he should have plenty left in the tank. He's only thrown 30 innings. Here's Maikel Franco. 2 home runs in this series, 1 in each game. And the slider on the corner for a strike. I mean, his stuff is just so much better and faster than any other starter in the game. 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, 95-mile-an-hour sliders, 93-mile-an-hour changeups. And that curveball in the dirt, 1-1. So the Mets can only salivate about the idea of having Noah out there for 30 or 32 starts next year. And Franco takes one that just misses, 2-1.
Interesting. You've got Syndergaard throwing 99, 100 miles an hour on a consistent basis so far. And you've got Franco. They're still keeping the ball away from him. The book is away. And I agree with that book.
Hit sharply, but right at Rosario, he's got the runner hung up. Hoskins making a base running mistake, and Rosario tags him out for the second out.
Well, a base running blunder by Hoskins gets himself out of scoring position. Pull shift on the infield. Dead pull hitter in Franco. And the base running, of course, it's a boo-boo.
Just a misread on Hoskins' part all the way. So 2 out. Franco now at first, and the switch hitting rookie catcher Andrew Knapp comes up. Knapp missed a long stretch of time late in the year with a bruised hand. But he's done well when he's been in the lineup. And he takes a fastball for a strike. So it looks like Noah's going to be allowed to try and get this third out against Knapp. Probably his last batter if he doesn't. And we're going to limit him to 25 pitches. He's at 23. And that's just off the plate at 100 miles an hour, 1-1. Last year, Noah was an all-star. 14-9, 2.60 ERA, 184 innings, 218 strikeouts, only 11 home runs allowed. Just an extraordinary season. And then that wonderful performance in the wild card game against the Giants. 7 scoreless innings matched up against Madison and Bumgarner. Dear Terry Collins today said he was asked about this year versus last year versus expectations. It was a year ago today the Mets clinched the wild card on this field. He said, yeah, I'm going to call Bruce Bochy after the game. I mean, the Giants, whom the Mets played in that wild card game last year, they've had even a worse year than the Mets have.
Yes, they have.
98 losses.
They dodged the 100 loss bullet.
On the inside corner, Knapp strikes out, and Syndergaard's tenure in this game comes to a positive close. 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, no hits allowed in Syndergaard's season finale. banking in your best interest. Terry Collins talking about injuries. They come to the ballpark to see the stars, and when they're sitting in the whirlpool, it doesn't work.
Oh, Gene Tennis's famous line: "Can't make the club while sitting in the tub."
See, but now you can make the club, but you just spent a lot of time on the disabled list.
I was spring training. I just took a cold jacuzzi, those old-fashioned jacuzzi with the engine and the propeller in there, whatever the heck it is, those old timer. And Gino walked by me and dropped that bomb on me. I never heard it.
Did you get out of the tub at
No,
that point?
I didn't. I laughed. We laughed.
Nori Aoki struck out his first time up. And he lifts this one to left field. Moving back Altair onto the warning track to grab it for the first out. The ball certainly carrying better today than it did last night. Well, this is going to be the last day of the most home run happy season baseball has ever seen. Coming into today, there were 117 players who had hit 20 or more home runs. There have been 41 players who've hit 30 or more home runs. Both of those are increases from last year when there were records set. Interestingly enough, though, last year there were 8 players with 40 or more home runs, and this year so far there are only 5 players with 40 or more. So there's been a broadening of the home run base. Many more guys hitting 20 and 30, but not any more hitting 40, which makes what Stanton and Judge have done that much more extraordinary. 59 and 52. And what that all means in terms of the valuation of players. I mean, if you are a 20 home run hitter, are you worth as much as you might have been 5 years ago? If you're a 30 home run hitter, are you worth what you were 3 or 5 years ago before this home run explosion? Well, now that there are so many guys doing that.
Jay Bruce will be the test case this offseason.
That's a good point.
And he's been terrific for Cleveland. What a pickup for them down the stretch. Happy for Jay.
Porsche leaderboard. Mets leading the National League in home runs by 2 over the Cubs and the Brewers. Surprising in that so many of their home runs got traded away or are on the disabled list. That's outside ball 4, and Evans is on for the second time. Hit by a pitch first time, and now a walk. Second walk given up by Pivetta. And here's Brandon Nimmo. He had a flare to the second baseman his first time up. He fouls back the fastball from Pivetta. Nice truck.
Yeah, you got to go quick, folks.
It's the last time, Keith.
Yep, that's
that
right.
We're going to see that truck this year.
You better go quick to your local Chevy dealer, folks.
Or ChevyOffers.com. On the inside corner to Nimmo, 0-2. Betta's still standing in the sunshine. And drops the curveball low and in. 1-2. Truly king of the hill with a glow around him.
Yes.
While everybody else stands in shadow.
Camelot.
Dominic Smith waiting on deck. There he is.
Nice shot right there.
Absorbing all the rays.
It's like he's on the spotlight on stage.
Mets season ticket plans lock you in for all the big games, including opening day and the Subway Series, plus gives you the opportunity to select your 2018 seating location this November during the online Select a Seat. Place your deposit today at Mets.com/deposits. Like that old song, Sweet Soul Music. Spotlight on Nick Pivetta now.
Yeah. I think you should stick to the broadcasting.
That's what I was doing, Keith.
Good effort. Good effort.
Did you want me to throw Lou Rawls out instead? Horizon trivia question. 2017 will be the third non-strike season without a 20-game winner. When were the other two? My gut says they were recent.
Yes.
And Nimmo's worked the count from 0-2 to 3-2. You've got Evans at first and 1 out, a 3-2 count. Nimmo's been striking out a lot, and Pivetta averages over a strikeout per inning. So we'll see if he runs. He does. Nimmo fouls it off. So Evans was on his way. Ninth pitch of the at bat coming to Nimmo. Evans was running on the first 3-2 pitch. And he runs again, and Nimmo draws the walk. Nice job by Nimmo after falling behind 0-2. That's back-to-back walks for Pivetta. And the Mets have 2 men on. So we have been making the assumption that this is Terry Collins' last game as Met manager, and Ken Rosenthal is reporting now that Terry will announce his resignation after the game today. Terry's 7th year as Met manager. You know who played the most games for the Mets in Terry's 7 years?
Tell me.
Lucas Duda.
That makes sense.
I got another one for you. Which pitcher had the most wins during Terry's tenure as Mets manager? Smith takes a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-2. And it was only 50. 7 years. Which just, it emphasizes how hard it is to keep your best pitchers on the mound. Jonathan Neese.
Oh my
had
goodness.
the most wins of any pitcher during Terry's tenure with 50. Jacob deGrom is second.
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
In the 7 years of his regime,
Smith went around for strike 3, 2 out.
Opening day, he had 7 different starters.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow.
See, you think I slough off a little bit? I might have sloughed the last game of the season. Meaningless game.
It's good that you came up with that and they were able to support you graphically immediately. All right, so who were the 7 opening day starters?
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, you don't have
well,
that?
it would be one would be
Okay, so
deGrom, Syndergaard. We'll go back in time.
Harvey.
Pardon me?
Harvey.
And lefty. No hit lefty.
Santana? No.
No. Sure.
Start opening day during Terry's tenure? Probably in 12, right? But he was coming off surgery, so maybe not. 0-2 to Nito. Dickey.
Yes, good call. Did Neese just get one because of coming out of spring?
Cologne? Didn't Cologne
Oh,
start
Bart
opening
did
day?
too,
Yeah.
yes.
It's a long way from the days of Tom Seaver. 14 opening day starts.
And Dwight Gooden.
Yeah. 0-2 coming, and Nito goes down on the breaking ball, and that retires the side. So back-to-back strikeouts for Pivetta after 2 straight walks. No score in the third. No score. You know, sometimes lobbying efforts pay off. We spent the entire broadcast last night lobbying for Greg Luzinski to send us some of his Bulls barbecue, and what just arrived in the booth?
Eat your heart out.
So credit to our director Dan Barr, who I think showed the Bulls barbecue sign about 55 times last night as we were, you know, talking up the ribs.
I think the clincher was when I said, honestly, that Bull was the one hitter I feared late and close, even over Mike Schmidt.
Even though Schmidt was sitting in the booth next door, you still did that.
A Bull not only hit 30 home runs, he hit 300 too. He could hit.
And he makes a heck of a rib. J.P. Crawford leads off the home third.
He never talked much at first base, very quiet.
Chris Flexen on to pitch for the Mets, with Syndergaard having worked his 2 innings and thrown 26 pitches. Job well done by Syndergaard. Didn't allow a hit, walked 1, struck out 2, and now Flexen pitching for the first time since the doubleheader against the Braves on Monday. Gave up 4 runs in 5 innings in that start. Actually pitched really well for 5 innings and then faltered in the 6th, and 3 inherited runners of his scored after he left the game. Flexen, who began his big league tenure as a starter, moved to the bullpen for a short period of time, and it seemed to have paid off for him. Gave him a chance to catch his breath, and Flexen has looked much better in the last couple of starts. Three-two coming, and Crawford fouls it away. Crawford 1 for 5 in this series, getting his 2nd start at shortstop. Now, Freddie Galvis pinch hit last night for the Phillies, their regular shortstop, and he's out of the lineup again today. Galvis has played every game for Philadelphia this year, so it's certainly expected that Galvis will come in at some point today. So he will have played in all 162. Do you know there are 2 players going into the final day, and we'll have to check today's lineups, but it's almost certain it'll happen this way. 2 players who've started every game for their team this year.
Started. That's incredible.
Going to start 162 games. Grounded down to first. Smith plays it off to the side and flexes it quickly over to cover 1 out. Alcides Escobar, the Royals shortstop, has played all 161 coming in today, and Joey Votto for the Reds has started every game as well.
And that's even in my day, that's extraordinary. You know, usually you mix in. I used to play around 155, 54 games.
Well, it will never happen in this regime here. The Mets front office is adamant about players getting days off, and they've even got charts that denote when players have played too many days in a row. So, I mean, unless some player can talk them into it, it's not likely that's ever going to happen. 2-0 to the pitcher, Pivetta.
It would drive me nuts, particularly if I was red hot. Or think about this, Gary. And I just thought about this. Suppose I'm in a slump, and the last 2 games I'm hitting, I feel my groove coming back, and I feel I'm that close, and I got to sit down. That dog ain't gonna hunt.
Well, that might put you at odds with a modern front office that's more insistent on regular days off.
You don't have to go in there and just hammer your fist on the table and scream and yell. You can plead your case.
Lower volume powers of persuasion.
Yes.
Pivetta strikes out. There are 2 out of the inning. SNY's NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano will have a full recap plus all the reaction from today's Giants matchup in Tampa on SNY.TV, your online home for all things New York sports. 2 out and nobody on. Now Cesar Hernandez, who flied out to center his first time up against Syndergaard. So Noah, in his 2 starts back from the disabled list, worked 3 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 31 pitches. And he'll take that into the offseason with him as proof that his lat is fully healed, his arm is up to snuff, and now he can go through his regular offseason routine to get himself ready for next year.
Don't you feel like he's got to get some game innings in the offseason, Gary?
Hit hard by Hernandez, and he's got a 2-out hit. I don't know. It's an interesting question, Keith, considering he only threw about 30 innings this year. But I don't think the Mets are inclined to set him to an instructional league or winter ball or anything like that.
And you know, in the broadcast, I was saying, you know, set him down for a month, get him 4 starts or 5 starts in Latin America, down in the Caribbean, in a winter league. But I talked to Terry about that, and that is not going to happen.
I think they feel as though the mounds are not necessarily maintained as well as they'd like. There's not as much supervision as they'd like. And they feel as though they'd rather keep him closer to home where they can keep an eye on what's going on.
Well, I would spend the dime and send someone down there to oversee his conditioning coach or whatever he's got, and make sure that he's doing it, and also someone to
send a grounds crew down there.
Sends the pitching coach down there to watch too. Come on. 1 month. Hotel room for a month. 2 guys.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I know it won't. I'm just saying.
I don't think it's the expense. I don't think that's their issue.
Well, yeah, they haven't even considered it because they're not considering sending him down the Caribbean.
Right. I mean, if they wanted him to get innings in, they could send him to instructional league, you know. But
I'd rather have him competing in the winter ball.
I think, you know, when you think about the off-season workout programs these guys have, and then how long spring training is to get them ready for the season, I guess they figure that's enough to get them up to speed for March 29th.
However, we've had 2 spring trainings, particularly after the World Series, Or they weren't ready on April 1st.
I think this year they went a little overboard with backing the pitchers up in spring training. The whole thing about them not making throws during pitchers fielding practice, which I thought was bizarre.
You remember the one spring when their final start of the spring training was 3 innings? That's unheard of in my. Like Ronnie said, you built up, you know, 3 innings, 4, 5, 6, and you throw 7 your last time out. All upside down to me.
Well, the bottom line is that every team in the majors is trying to find the right formula for how to keep their pitchers healthy. And so far, there is no perfect way.
And you stated earlier, Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, the pitchers are going to start running again?
Well, some of them have said that.
And I agree. There are too many pitchers running out of gas.
Not just pitchers, but position players too. Cespedes has said he's going to run more, lift less. Good
yeah, but an everyday player is not going to run during the season, Gary. I mean,
I'm talking about during the offseason in terms of training.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's where pitchers, I feel, can run like they used to during the season. Keep their legs strong, keep their wind up. I don't see them gassed out there in the 6th inning. And, you know, they're gassed for a multitude of reasons. They're not asked to go 7 innings hardly anymore. But why not? But why not give you a strong 6?
There goes the runner, swung and missed, and the throw down to second. It should be strike 3, and it is. Moot point on the throw. Herrera strikes out. Side retired. Second strikeout for Flexen. No score after 3. T-Mobile American League Wild Card game set for Tuesday. Irvin Santana will pitch for the Twins against Luis Severino as Rosario lines one foul down the right field line.
Well, there it is. How about that? I liked Santana when he was with the Braves, Gary. I thought he threw very well. And boy, what a year he's had.
He has been a tremendously consistent pitcher, and one of the big reasons why the Twins were able to stay afloat even when it looked like they might be fading back in July, as Rosario takes a half swing at a slider and misses 0-2. And Rosario goes around on the half swing, and that's strike 3. That's 3 strikeouts in a row for Pivetta and 6 for the day.
Up the ladder. You don't see enough of it in today's game. Let's see if they'll chase. A lot of guys get all excited at the pitch upstairs. Their eyes light up and they'll chase.
Well, you can see the pitch upstairs best because it's closest to your eyes.
I always felt the high fastball first strike was a mistake. Even at the shoulder level, if it was a hanging breaking ball, was a mistake and a great pitch to hit.
Another half swing, this one by Reynolds. I don't know how much the shadows are coming into play right now, but you're seeing a lot of tentative swings. Reynolds grounded out to short his first time up. He gets jammed and fouls it off 0-2. You know, we showed Irvin Santana starting for the Twins in that wild card game Tuesday. I thought it was really interesting that Paul Molitor stuck his young starter Jose Barrios in the bullpen for an outing the other day because he wants it to be all hands on deck for that wild card game. That if Santana falters, he wants to bring Barrios in as his long man, and that's something he had really never done before in the starter his whole career.
Well, it's one and done in that wild card.
Another strikeout for Pivetta as he gets Reynolds on the slider. That's 7, including 4 in a row. Drive Around the Majors brought to you by Cadillac, and there are your National League wild card probables. John Gray, really the only veteran on that Colorado staff. Rockies got 92 starts from rookies. 92 from rookie starting pitchers this year. But Gray, when he's been healthy, has been their most effective starter, and you know, the guy with the most experience as well, and so he'll get the start against Zach Greinke.
And we didn't see the good John Gray. The Mets kind of torched him both home and away, if I recall. Not sure about if he pitched away. I know at home he got lit up.
I don't remember, but you know, the Torey Lovullo had a choice for Arizona. He could have gone with Greinke, or he could have gone with Robbie Ray, but he opts for the experience of Greinke over the sheer stuff of Ray.
Then Ray is going to do the opener against Kershaw.
Right.
And Ray has had great success against the Dodgers. He's been kind of the nemesis.
Pivetta behind on Cicchini, 3-0. There's Flexen on deck. And gets one over, 3-1. Cicchini had a base hit to right his first time up. And now he's on again, this time via the walk. So it's been all walks and strikeouts for Pivetta. 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, and we're only in the 4th inning. And now Flexen will take the turn at bat. 2 for 12 at the plate. He drives one out to center field. Herrera having trouble with the sun. Shades his eyes and makes the catch. That retires the side. A walk and 1 left. Still no score in the 4th. was on this date last year right here in Philadelphia that the Mets clinched their second consecutive postseason berth. Might have been 4-0 catching the line drive that ended it. A real rarity in Mets history. The second time they've gone to the postseason 2 years in a row. World Series 2015, Wild Card 2016, and those celebrations never get old, especially when Jim Horowitz gets doused. Terry Collins right in the middle of it.
Carried on the shoulders of Yoenis Cespedes.
Aaron Altair leads off the home fourth against Chris Flexen. Altair had a comebacker against Syndergaard his first time up. Flexen's second inning of work. He struck out 2 in the third. And he overpowers Altair 1-1. Rhys Hoskins on deck, then Nick Williams for the Phillies in the fourth. And another overpowering fastball, 1-2. Rhys Hoskins on deck. Driven out to right center field. Back in the gap goes Aoki. It's over his head and off the base of the wall. Nimmo plays to Karam, and Altair pulls it at second base with a leadoff double.
Two fastballs by him upstairs, Gary, and then he goes downstairs. And everybody, as we've mentioned all year long, even the right-hand hitters now have been infected. Or supercharged, however way you want to look at it. That low ball, they're all a lot of low ball hitters.
Low turbo. There's Hoskins, who walked and stole a base in the second inning and then made a base running mistake and was tagged out between second and third on a ground ball. Slider taking low, 2-0 to Hoskins. We've talked so much about the proliferation of home runs in baseball, but just over these last 2 years to have Gary Sanchez, Clay Bellinger, Aaron Judge, Rhys Hoskins, Matt Olson all come up to the big leagues and had extraordinary home run totals in just a handful of games. To me, it's a whole separate story. Not just the fact that there are so many home runs being hit, but being hit by players who are fresh out of the minor leagues and in droves, in a way that has never been seen before. I mean, Sanchez set records last year, and then Bellinger broke them early this year, and then Hoskins broke records as well, and Olson broke records, and here's Judge hitting 52, and it's an incredible story.
And I like Sanchez of the Yankees too, the right-hand hitter. Like him a lot. Maybe it's more of the swings now, the launch angle. They all strike out, Gare. You know, before you have a guy come up, maybe there'd be more base hits, doubles. Now they're being taught to swing up. I think the generations are come up much more confident than when I played. There's a lot of factors.
Do you think part of it
bullpen pitching?
Do you think part of it too is that pitchers are much more dependent on scouting reports, and until they have a book on these guys, that it's harder for them to, you know, to figure out how to get them out on their own?
I don't think so. I think that part of the game is a constant. If anything, Gary, I think they got scouts that are scouting guys in the minor leagues that have they come up the rookies where we had no idea about them. My whole career, Gary, Strike 3 right there on Hoskins. Swing and a miss. When someone came up in September or was called up, I play first base. I had to field them out. There was no scouting report. This guy's this guy's that. He does this. His tendencies are that. I think that today's game, there's probably more of that, so that you can prepare for a guy that's an unknown entity, as opposed to our time.
I just find it extraordinary that this number of guys are hitting, 15 homers in their first 30 games, 18 homers in their first 30 games.
I think
it's crazy.
It's reflective on the pitching too, which I think the culprits would be the bullpen. Not everybody has a strong bullpen. There are 30 teams in baseball, and a lot of them, great majority of them, are under 500 for a reason.
To Williams, who struck out his first time up.
Plus these guys, Gary, I mean, again, I could go to the bus today and the players get on the bus. They're all 6'5". They dwarf me. No, they don't dwarf me, but I am certainly diminished. And they're stronger and they're bigger. And you got these new ballparks that a lot of them that are smaller.
Good change up by Flexen, 2-1.
And we don't have any evidence as far as the ball is concerned, but we are seriously suspect. I mean, if we were leaders of a nation, Gary, we would put our CIA on it to investigate.
Just some weights and measures, really all you need. Just coefficients of resiliency. That is, the ball's wrapped a little tighter, in layman's terms. Three and 1 to Williams, and he goes after another changeup, and it's 3-2. You really have to like the strides that Flexen has made since he first came up out of Double-A.
He's hung in there. He's taking his lumps.
I think he's trusting himself more. He's throwing more strikes. He's being a little more aggressive. And Dan Worthen's done a great job with him, preparing him to go through this home stretch the way he has. Mets have had to go to a lot of arms that they didn't expect to have to use at the big league level this year, and the results are what they are. The Mets have had a dreadful year pitching overall, but you look for small signs, and Flexen is certainly one of those. He's certainly taken positive strides since he got here. Three-two coming, and that's outside. Williams is on with a walk. First one given up by Flexen. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. The last two non-strike seasons without a 20-game winner were fairly recent. 20-game winners, 300-game winners. It's just not a thing anymore.
Dying breed?
Well,
a dead breed.
Will anybody win 300 ever again?
Prehistoric. They're extinct.
There's Franco, who grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up. Altair at second, Williams at first with one out. No score in the fourth. And Franco takes a breaking ball strike. Two at bats for Giancarlo Stanton today. No home runs. Funny how those things work, right? None in the series in Colorado. That's drilled by Franco deep to left field, and that ball's out of here. Third straight game in this series, Maikel Franco has homered. His 24th of the year. A 3-run shot puts the Phillies up 3-0. Now, it's not been a good year for Maikel Franco, but what a finish. Homer in each of the last 3 games.
Well, We've been mentioning how you got to pitch him away. And Flexen got this one in. Yep, right there in a tee. Looks like a changeup to me. And you've got to get that changeup down and away. Yeah, look at him turn. He's all open in his stance. He's just looking something middle in to launch, and he got it. Right.
1-1 to Andrew Knapp, who took a call third strike from Syndergaard his first time up. So Flexen, after a clean third, gives up a double, a walk, and a 3-run homer here in the fourth.
He knew he got it up and in. Right there. And it's a changeup too, so you really can catch up to it, folks. And a hitter like Franco, who was a pull hitter, you're asking for trouble.
Ah, if I could only have it back.
Rub up a new one, as they say.
That bounces one foul down to Juan Samuel. Knapp takes it just off the plate. 3-2.
Could have gone either way. That was a close one right there.
J.P. Crawford hitting 8th in the order, waiting on deck. And that just missed inside, so Flexen didn't get the call on either side of the plate. That's his second walk. Collins had both Flexen and Rafael Montero available today as long men. Both guys who have been starters, and with Syndergaard having his abbreviated start today, likely that Montero will be in behind Flexen. Meanwhile, Dan Worthen out to the mound to talk to Flexen as he has struggled here in the fourth. So strange to look up at the scoreboard and see every game going at the same time.
Yes.
Every game is somewhere between the third and the sixth inning.
Well, Miami's getting shut out right now in the fifth, going into the fifth. So Stanton cannot have hit a home run, and it probably has been up twice. More than likely.
Here's Crawford, who grounded out his first time up.
It's got to be very difficult for Stanton because it's not a team goal, and it's more than just an individual goal. You're talking Babe Ruth, Roger Maris. I won't add the other two, Bonds, of course, and Sosa, but McGuire. Thank you.
Those are the 5 who've hit 60.
So that is a big number, and I don't think that that's not in the back of his mind, and he's trying to lift. There's just so many things that can go wrong.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not just individual goals, but I would think hitting a home run when you have to hit a home run has got to be the hardest thing to do.
Yes. And we mentioned how long it took Gary Carter to get 300.
And particularly with a guy like Stanton, whose natural home run stroke is not a lift. It's more of a line drive.
No, it is not more of a line drive. It is a line drive.
Crawford, shallow center. Nimmo coming on, diving, but it goes off his glove. Knapp will pull in at second, and Pivetta has, or excuse me, Crawford has a base hit. The third hit of the inning. Nice effort by Nimmo. But can't play quite as shallow as Lagares does, and could not quite make this diving play.
He gets a good break on it. It almost got there. So 3-0. Pivetta up.
Ball was in his glove. So that's a look for the bunt from Pivetta.
Yeah, 3 for 42 on the year. 3 for 43. I got to believe he is.
Bunts it toward first. At Smith bobbles. That costs him the play at third, and then he throws it away. Knapp is in to score. Crawford will stop at third. Pivetta pulls in at second. 4-0 Philadelphia. Well, when that ball was first bunted, it looked for all the world as though Dominic Smith would be able to get a force at third. But first he bobbled it and lost that. Then he threw it away, and the Phils get a run.
He's right there. Oh, he got the in-between hop. Came in a little out of control, and then he got a little loose on the throw. So this is a double. It won't be a double error, but it could be a double error.
Well, they're going to score at a sacrifice, which it shouldn't be, because if he picks that ball up, he's got the easiest out at third base. It should be a fielder's choice, no sacrifice, but the score was very generous. So it's a sacrifice, E3, no RBI. Let's bring the infield in now to face Hernandez. Second and third, 1 out, 4 runs home in the inning. And it's topped slowly. Runner coming home. Smith's only play is to first, but he throws it to the pitcher, who is standing right next to him, rather than Cicchini, who is covering first base. And they don't get an out, and it's 5-0. And Dominic Smith's head is somewhere other than in this game right now.
I don't know what he was thinking there. So there's Cicchini coming over to cover.
I mean, does there have to be verbal communication there? Does somebody have to yell at him or something?
I'm trying to dissect this right here, and the pitcher's got to cover. I can see where he thought, okay, I got the ground ball, the pitcher's covering. It's not knowing where your second baseman is. And Cicchini's got to verbally say first, first, first. And your catcher's got to say first, first, first. It's just poor play.
Also, with the timing of it, as slowly as that ball was hit, there's no way Flexen was going to get to first before Hernandez. And Cicchini was standing on the bag.
You've got to realize that you didn't have a shot.
So it'll be scored an infield hit for Hernandez. He gets an RBI. That's a gift.
I thought he was going to tag the runner running up the first base line.
That would have made some sense.
You know, that would have been the play, the proper play. Because
Well,
you can see out of the corner of your eye, okay, Gary, that Flexen, even if you throw to him, he has no chance to get to the bag. So you can see that as you're coming in and fielding, and then tag the runner running to first.
I've also got to wonder, Keith, with a young player like that, he just made 2 poor plays the prior batter. Is his head in the wrong place? Still thinking about that?
Could be. You know that he's a little. I'm sure he's embarrassed right now a little bit. I've been there. I've made some blunders out there, some knucklehead plays, and you just want to. When I was younger, and so learning process.
Well, the inning should be over. Instead, Flexen still only has 1 out. 5 runs are home in the inning, and Odubel Herrera, the 9th man to bat in the inning, is grounded out and struck out today.
Good change.
Well, if you are looking for Jets post-game live
Yeah.
after the Jets defeated the Jaguars in overtime, it is streaming right now on SNY.TV. Congratulations to the Jets, 2 in a row.
Yes. 2-2, right? What's their record now? 2-2?
Yes.
Gosh, we're already in week 4 of NFL.
That may dismay some of their fans who were hoping that they would play for the first draft pick. But 2 wins in a row is 2 wins in a row.
You got that right. What happened with New England was down a point at half, and Buffalo was losing in Atlanta. I'm out of touch, folks. We're focused.
Herrera drives one foul.
So New England lost. I know I make a lot of fans happy in New York.
And just about everywhere outside New England, Keith.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that, but
not the most beloved team outside their home
no,
territory.
I know that. They've been caught too many times with their hands in the cookie jar.
Hard-working inning for Flexen. He's already thrown 37 pitches, and this one's floated out to right, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Pivetta scores the 6th run of the inning. Scampering to third, Hernandez, and he is out at third.
Really?
What a recovery and throw by Aoki to gun down Hernandez. Evans tags him on the shoulder, I believe, as he was sliding, and we'll see whether they challenge this.
Hernandez got a really late break. He didn't read this quickly. Was unsure if it was going to be Cicchini was going to make the play. Strong throw. Perfect throw. I think he got his foot in, Gare, before the tag came on the head.
Well, they are going to challenge the call.
Oh, this inning has just been a disaster.
So it's a base hit for Herrera. He drives in a run to make it 6-0. And the question is, did the Mets get the second out at third base? I'm with you. I think he got the foot in before the tag on the helmet.
Agreed. The fans react.
While the play is under review, brought to you by Mazda. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Every stitch is a part of me. All these shapes express our devotion to craftsmanship. I want people to feel our passion when they touch it and when they drive it.
The all-new Mazda CX-5.
Now lease the 2017 CX-5 Sport for $169 a month for 36 months.
So the Phillies win the challenge. Hernandez is ruled safe at third base. 6 runs home in this 4th inning for the Phillies, and that's going to be all for Chris Flexen, who was certainly betrayed by his defense in that inning. Nonetheless, charged with 6, responsible for 2 more, and he will take his exit after just an inning and a third. Called the bullpen, brought to you by Verizon. Kevin McGowan coming on. We'll be right back. Kevin McGowan comes in to make his second appearance in this series. Worked on Friday night, worked a 1-2-3 inning. Comes in here with first and third and 1 out. 6 runs home for the Phillies in the fourth. Aaron Altair, who started it with an opposite field double, goes after a first pitch breaking ball, 0-1. Altair doubled, and then with 1 out, Nick Williams walked. Franco hit a 3-run homer. Knapp walked. Crawford got a base hit. And then the defense fell apart. The bunt by Pivetta, thrown away for a run. Hernandez with the roller that Smith made the strange toss on. And the base hit by Herrera that drove in a run. Here's that play at third base that was overturned.
I thought he got the foot in, and I just don't get the umpiring.
I think what Bellino might have thought is that his foot never got to the bag, but it did.
I don't know what he thought, but whatever he was thinking, he was wrong.
Yep. And Altair strikes out on 3 pitches. So McGowan has a strikeout for the second out of the inning.
Boy, what a disaster inning in so many ways. Oh.
And now Rhys Hoskins, who's walked and struck out. McGowan dumps one in the dirt, and Nito stops it, ball 1. Hernandez at third, Herrera at first with 2 out. And Hoskins takes the slider down, 2-1. 25-year-old Kevin McGowan, New Hampshire native, trying to get his feet wet in the big leagues. Three infielders on the left side against Hoskins. And he chases that slider, and it's 2-2. Two coming, and he struck him out to end the inning. So back-to-back strikeouts for McGowan, but not before the Phillies put up a 6 spot in the fourth. They lead 6-0. The gem against the Mets in New York back in July. 7 innings, 1 hit. He's allowed just 1 hit in 4 innings so far today. Aoki has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Pavetta's walked 4, but he struck out 7 through the first 4 innings. And looking for his 8th win of the year, and now 6 runs to the good. And Aoki strokes one toward the middle. He's got a base hit. Just the 2nd Mets base hit of the day. And Aoki is on to lead off the 5th. Let's check in with Steve Gelbs. His report today is brought to you by Volkswagen. Steve.
Well, Gary, obviously we have spent so much time today speaking about Terry Collins, and if this is indeed the end of the line as Mets manager, I think one of the personal things that I'll always remember from his time here is the incredible way with which he treated each and every member of the media, the level of respect that he showed for so many people. You know, they say there's no such thing as a stupid question. I would debate them on that, especially over the course of 162 games, and I think I may have been the culprit once or twice over the last number of years. And again, for me personally, you know, coming to this job a few years back, really not knowing a heck of a lot about what I was doing, a very young reporter, he never made any reporter feel small. He never tried to put anybody down. He respectfully answered everybody's inquiries, and I think that that's something that's pretty rare, not just in baseball but in sports, and it's something that made Terry Collins certainly special over the years here.
I think that's 100% true, Steve. I mean, he went out of his way to learn the names not only of the beat reporters but even of the people who only showed up once in a while. Always addressed them by name, always addressed them with respect, no matter what their title.
I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a manager, a major league manager, that has the know-how to handle the press and be accommodating to the press as Terry Collins.
Well, it's a huge part of the job now, much more so than it ever was before. Doing those formalized press conferences twice a day, and also all the other demands on the manager's time in terms of communicating with the public directly or with the public through the media. And it's something that will be a huge consideration if the Mets do make a change in manager in who gets the job next, because it's going to be very difficult for anybody to do that part of the job as well as Terry did. 3-2 to Evans, who's been aboard twice, and now a 3rd time.
Evans has an idea up there, good knowledge of the strike zone.
So that's 5 walks now for Pivetta. And if you're Pete McCannon, you'd love to get your young starter through 5 innings with a chance to win this game, but his pitch count rapidly rising. And now the Mets got the first 2 men on in the 5th with Brandon Nimmo coming up. Aoki at 2nd. He had a base hit. Evans at 1st. He drew a walk. So Pivetta trying to dig in as he takes on Nimmo, who walked his last time up. Curveball about Pivetta, 1-1. Nimmo 1 for 10 in this series. On base percentage over .380 for the year. And that has certainly drawn everybody's attention. He lifts one foul off the left side. Franco over for a look, but that'll go in the crowd. 1-2.
Okay. Is it Blurt?
I believe that was a say it ain't so.
And what does he mean by that?
Well,
is he a Met fan, you think?
No, here's what I believe. I believe he was directing his say it ain't so at our friend Larry Anderson.
Oh.
The Phillies' esteemed radio color man who's going to be cutting back his schedule next year.
Yes, he is. Less road.
That's pulled down to first. Hoskins with a nice grab. Out at second, but no relay.
Really a nice play.
So they get the first out. The 3-6 force on Evans.
Bullet cleanly picked. Perfect throw. Don't know why Crawford didn't want to try to at least turn 2.
Was he afraid Hoskins wasn't going to get back to the bag, or
Well, the pitcher's job to
was
get
he going to
there.
get there?
I believe so. Maybe he heard the thundering herd
Marshall
of Evans coming down on him, bearing down on him.
So the Mets have a runner to third for the first time today. Here's Smith.
You know, over my playing days, Gary, there were a small group of middle infielders that didn't like to get taken out. And if you got close to them, they got a little gun shy. I'm not saying that's the case here.
Well, now there should be very little fear on the part of a middle infielder that is going to get run over the way the new rules are written. That's drilled down the right field line by Smith, and that's a foul ball. First base umpire Jerry Lane. The ruling is foul. Up there's the office. There's the office. The plant is looking good today. It appears as though the occupant of that corner office in right field is not there at the moment, but we did a lot of work with the office last night.
Folks, we have been coming here. We mentioned last night. We noticed it for the first time in how many years we've been coming here. Unbelievable.
Now we have been informed by a reliable source that is the head groundskeeper's office, and that would make sense,
cool.
right?
Nice.
Keep an eye on the field, even during the off season. Sit there in your corner office with your beautiful plant, which gets just enough sun.
I guess it's a command center for him. What happens if all of a sudden something happens where the pitcher wants them to come out and fix the mound?
Well, his minions would probably take care of that.
And he's down there.
But he can make a phone call.
He's the chief.
Hey, you're the chief. You sit there, you call out directions, you enjoy your beautiful plant and your little fanatic statue in the window. But you don't get your hands dirty. Popped up, shallow left. Not deep enough for Aoki to tag. And Altair makes the catch for the second out. If he's the chief, does he have a cone of silence?
Oh, we're going there. Well, he would have control over 86, 99, and Jaime.
Don't forget Agent 13.
Oh, sure.
Did you have a barbecue problem?
I got a little bull juice. I'm glad.
He means barbecue sauce.
I'm glad I didn't get on my tie. But, you know.
But the sweater, it's hard to get barbecue sauce out of
Oh,
cashmere.
you'll get it out.
Nemo runs and Nito fouls one back. Well, it's the last day of the season. You have plenty of time to get your wardrobe in order.
Well, the issue is this, is that I was warned earlier about the drips from the juice of the bull. And I was very cognizant of not getting it on my sweater, and lo and behold, it did.
It's always the way it works. If nobody had said anything, he would have been fine. That trickles away from Knapp far enough for Nimmo to go to second base. It'll be a wild pitch. So now the Mets have two in scoring position with 2 out.
Why is it, Gary, that not all the stadiums have the PA with the official scorekeeper giving the call? I just heard wild pitch.
Right.
Not every stadium has that.
Yes, they do. Some of them we can hear them better than others.
Okay. Oh. Avon calling.
Was that your
Yes, it
your
was.
ding?
Avon call. Forgot the mute. Sorry.
It's only game number 162. 1-2 to Nito, who's flied out and struck out today. And he chops one slowly. Franco cuts it off and throws him out. Inning over. Pivetta gets around trouble in the 5th. He's got 5 scoreless innings, and we're halfway through on the final day. 6-0 Phils. Is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Katz Institute for Women's Health. The total contribution to date is $175,000 so far this season. Visit northwell.edu/cats to learn more. Kevin McGowan struck out 2 when he came on in the 4th. Stays in for the 5th. Nick Williams leads off for the Phillies and swings over the first pitch. Changeup, 0-1.
Follow through got Nito.
Occupational hazard. Williams walked and scored in the 6-run 4th inning for the Phils. And he grounds one down to Smith. Tom handles this one cleanly, 1 out. Well, now Michael Franco is homered in all 3 games in this series.
Okay, up in middle in. Down middle. And that's belt high in. Loves that ball middle of the plate in.
2-run homer on Friday night against Matt Harvey. Solo homer against Seth Lugo last night. 3-run homer against Chris Flexen today. He only lacks the grand slam for the series home run cycle.
Ooh. Is there such a thing?
Just made it up.
So
there is now.
You know what? It's the last game, and it's Garrett. Stick with the basics. Don't grasp at straws.
Saying I shouldn't try and do too much. Shouldn't get outside myself. Stay within myself. Take one game at a time. Well, Franco taking big hacks at sliders off the plate, and it's 0-2. So Giancarlo Stanton came up for the Marlins and hit a ball 122 miles an hour. The hardest hit base hit in the history of StatCast, which is 3 years. But it was just a single. So he still has 59 home runs. But 122 miles an hour. That's serious. You don't want to get in the way of that. faster than you drive.
You have a lot of nerve. Folks, Gary's a bat out of heck. You know what happened? I've got my phone on mute. Everybody with an iPhone and an iPad, you know there was an upgrade, not an upgrade, what do you call it? When you go to settings and you get an update or an upgrade, whatever. And I did it last night.
A software update?
Yeah, and I did it last night. And it's terrific. I love the new look. But I've got the phone on mute, and the texts that are coming through are giving me the alert, and they should be cut off.
To readjust your settings.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I want you to go into your settings, go to notifications, and put silent.
Oh, let me try that. All right. A commercial.
Here's Andrew Knapp with 2 out.
Well, you folks know what's going on out there. They have Apples and Apple iPhones and iPads. No offense, Microsoft.
Grounded toward the hole, and Knapp has a base hit. First base runner against McGowan, and Knapp's on base for the second time today. And now J.P. Crawford, who's 1 for 2. Crawford just 22 years old. Lakewood, California high school, same high school Travis d'Arnaud went to. And a letter high strike from McGowan. Change up outside, 1-1. Well, Freddie Galvis is out on deck to bat for Nick Pivetta. So it looks like Pivetta is done in his final start of the year. 5 scoreless innings, 98 pitches, enough for the rookie in his season finale. And so if he is out, Pivetta will have finished his season with 2 scoreless outings in a row. He threw 6 scoreless against the Braves his last time out, and 5 scoreless today. One-two to Crawford, and it's in there. Changeup, letter high for strike 3. Third strikeout for McGowan, and that'll do it for the Phillies in the bottom of the 5th. On to the 6th we go on closing day. 6-0 Phillies. Kettering Cancer Center. It's been held to just 2 hits this afternoon. A second inning single by Gavin Cicchini, a 5th inning single for Nori Aoki, and that's been it. The Fanatic has been laid bare.
He's been defrocked. He wants to get arrested.
Ahmed Rosario leads off the 6th against the new Philly pitcher Victor Arano. Arano, who pitched last night, one of the 8 Philly pitchers who worked in that 11-inning game. 22-year-old from Mexico. And we check in with Steve Gelbs, whose report today is brought to you by Volkswagen. Steve.
Well, Gary, obviously the last 2 months have been a bit of a slog for this team, but with Ahmed Rosario up for the last 2 months, it's been important for him, for his development, for the future of this organization. And it was interesting speaking with him about what he's learned over these last 2 months. He said it was somewhat eye-opening to see how quickly pitchers were able to make adjustments to him. You go in the minor leagues, you make an adjustment. Usually that adjustment works for a little while. He said now it's day to day, at bat to at bat. So that's something that he's learned, he's taken into the offseason. He said the one area that he wants to focus on this offseason, outside of obviously more plate discipline, is work on utilizing that speed a little bit more. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Jose Reyes has been big with him, trying to get him to do that as Rosario strikes out here. But when he gets on base, he really wants to focus on not just using the speed to go, but learn about the intricacies of stealing bases, because he thinks that can be a really, really important skill for him here moving forward.
Hey, there's various ways, a multitude of ways, Gary, to improve your game. When we mentioned that Rosario should learn to drag bunt, bring that third baseman in, make him play on the cut of the grass, the ground ball to his left or his right. If he's playing deep, as Franco is right now, he gets to. If he's on the cut of the grass, it's a base hit.
If you are blessed with speed, and Rosario clearly is, he's been measured as the fastest shortstop in the game, faster than Trey Turner, faster than Francisco Lindor. That tells you he's really fast. There are a lot of ways to utilize that speed.
Correct.
Now, he's not D. Gordon. He's not, a guy who's only going to rely on his legs. He's got more pop than that. Driven out to center by Reynolds. Herrera eases back, and there are 2 out. But he's got to take advantage of the tools that he has, and speed obviously is a huge piece of what Rosario brings to the table.
No question. He's got a lot of gifts. Getting his feet wet, and we'll see how he progresses.
2 out and nobody on. Here's Cicchini, who's been on base twice, a single and a walk. And he swings through the fastball by Arano, 0-1. Nick Pivetta, 5 innings, no runs, 2 hits. He walked 5, struck out 7, hit a batter, threw a wild pitch, and his season is complete. 11 scoreless innings in his last 2 outings, and a chance to beat the Mets for the 2nd time this year. And there are today's starters, brought to you by People's United Bank. Noah Syndergaard, 26 pitches in 2 innings in his 2nd outing back from the disabled list, and all was well with Noah.
Yep.
And a chance to go into the offseason on a positive note.
And folks, for you that are just tuning in and see that graphic, don't be alarmed. He wasn't injured. He was only scheduled to pitch 2.
Have no fear. Cicchini strikes out, inning over. It's 9 strikeouts for Philly pitchers in the first 6 innings of this game. And we head to the bottom of the 6th. 6-0 Phillies. The sixth, Nori Aoki moves from right field to left field. Travis Tyrone comes in to play right field. He'll bat ninth. And Rafael Montero will pitch the sixth inning for New York.
Well, Ralphie going to make his last appearance. He showed signs of turning the corner this season. He's certainly been given his share of chances. Ronnie and I have always liked him and felt he'd be a serviceable guy, long relief, fifth starter. I think he's learned a lot this year, at least I hope he has, and learned to pitch inside, and seeing how it has improved his pitching. So he's another guy that's going to be back next year and fighting for a spot.
Freddie Galvis will be the pinch hitter, and with this, Galvis has played 162 games. And he takes outside from Montero. Galvis not starting the last two games of the season, but playing every one of them. And that in itself is a tremendous feat. And he takes one at the knees from Montero, 1-1. Montero last pitched on Tuesday night against the Braves and pitched well, 6 innings, 3 runs. And no decision for him. And he's balanced his season between starting and relieving, and as Keith says, has made terrific strides. And I think you can point to several pitchers on this Mets staff. We mentioned Flexen earlier, who have taken big strides forward this year, despite the fact that the overall numbers are not good, as Galvis pulls one into right field for a base hit. He'll take second base easily, so it's a pinch hit double for Galvis.
Change up. Took it off the ground. Let go with one hand. Didn't get it away enough. That seems to be my mantra here on changeup. Just not away enough for him to let go of that one hand to extend that bat a little further out for coverage on the outside part of the plate, and able to get the barrel of it on the ball.
So now Cesar Hernandez, who has 2 hits and an RBI. We're talking about pitchers making strides this year, and you know, with all the talk about Terry Collins and his job status, it has also been widely noted that Dan Worthen is also perhaps not going to be back next year. He's been the Mets pitching coach since Jerry Manuel took over as manager during the 2008 season, and is the longest tenured Mets coach by far. And I think to a man, if you talk to his pupils, the guys who have pitched for Dan Worthen, they have almost unanimously glowing things to say about the work that he has done with them. You know, you watch the progress of younger pitchers, you look at older pitchers and their ability to incorporate new aspects into their game. Dan has brought it, and he's done it for the better part of a decade with this franchise. Montero behind on Hernandez, 3-1.
The old left-hander, the Montreal Expo. I remember when Dan came up, had great stuff, hurt his arm, and never recovered from that. Threw hard, big curveball, knew how to pitch inside. And I said, oh, the Montreal got another good pitcher. Jeez. But, you know, like so many pitchers, we talked about ball 4 there, Montero getting himself in trouble.
Well, certainly if you talk to Dan's pitchers, they have nothing but praise for him, and Noah Syndergaard is certainly in that group.
As far as Dan goes, I mean, as soon as I got in the big leagues with 2015, working with him, I feel like I'm a night and day pitcher. I feel like if I was continuing to pitch how I did when I got called up, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now and have the success that I have right now. I owe all of my credit to him and all my success to him, because I mean, when I got up to the big leagues, I didn't have much of a changeup, was very inconsistent with it, didn't really have a slider, and my curveball kind of sucked. And he's got so much when it comes to pitching and just life in general. I mean, he's just like, I mean, he's a pitching coach to me, great pitching coach, but he's also a great mentor. I mean, I can come to him with anything I have in personal in my life, and he'll have the best advice to give me. And I mean, I really think it'd be best in our best interest as a team and as a pitching staff to have him back next year.
And with that kind of sentiment, from the guys who work with him the closest, and I think Jacob deGrom would have similar things to say. It's going to be interesting to see whether the Mets decide to retain Dan or whether he gets shuffled out as well after what has been clearly a dreadful year for the Mets pitching staff, at least in part because of injury.
Well, that's a glowing endorsement of Dan Warthen from the Ace. And I think, folks, when managers are on the hot seat, or in this case with Terry, where it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to resign, it's also the coaching staff that's walking around on eggs also, because normally the coaches don't survive as well. So it'll be very interesting to see the makeup of the coaching staff next season or over the winter when they're announced.
Well, you've said it all the time that the most important coach on the staff is the pitching coach.
No question. Absolutely no question. And then the third base coach is number 2.
So I guess the next question then is, how important is the continuity? I mean, you've got some organizations like the Giants, for instance. Dave Righetti's been there, what, 14, 15 years?
Yes.
At least. And he has survived through multiple managers, as Dan Warthen has. Right? He didn't come aboard with Terry. He was here before Terry. So you have to balance, I guess, I don't know, maybe the desire on the part of management to bring in a new voice versus the accomplishments that Dan has brought to the table since he's been here. I mean, and pitching has been the hallmark of this franchise for a long time.
And another thing that goes on in today's game, managers used to be able to pick their own coaches.
Double play ball to Rosario, and the turn by Cicchini. 6-4-3 double play, 2 out. Over to third goes Galvis.
Here comes that creepy song. Easy pick here, Cicchini. Well, tailor-made. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, Garrett, today's game, the manager does not pick his coaching staff. So there could be, you know, someone that's not, hasn't got your back in your coaching staff. And, you know, you're with someone for 162 games. There's a lot of, you want a coach you don't get along with, because what's happening now, general managers are selecting coaches, and you want someone that you don't get along with on your coaching staff?
Not just that, but there are allegiances, there are alliances, there's loyalty involved too. And you know, the game has changed in so many ways in terms of the control that front offices and general managers have over what goes on in the manager's office, so much more than it used to be. It used to be, you know, once the general manager picked the team, it was the manager's job to pick his coaches, to pick his players, and to decide who plays. And that's just not true anywhere anymore.
That's absolutely right. And I don't believe Terry has picked any one of those coaches down there over his 7 years. I could be wrong, but I guarantee you the great majority were selected by Sandy. And those are the changes in the game. So you don't want anybody looking over their shoulder, not trusting anybody. And that's gone on forever in baseball anyway. I mean, you think you have a friend, Gary, in any walk of life. I mean, there's cases where you thought you was at a friend, and when the push came to shove and your job was on the line, that guy didn't have your back.
Smith makes a nice pick. Alter's retired. We go to the 7th. Still 6-0 Phil. Day of the season, and left-hander Hobie Milner will come in for the Phils. Milner worked 2/3 of an inning last night, an intentional walk and nothing else. Travis Tyrone will come up for the first time. Tyrone came in on a double switch in the last half inning.
Well, Tom Goodwin has been here forever. Glenn Sherlock, his first year at third base. And we were talking about, Gary, coach selection. And I just want to clarify and be clear. I don't know for sure if Sandy has hired all the coaches. I would be willing to say that he's brought in more than a few of them. I don't know the exact amount or how many Terry has chosen, but the game has changed in that regard, and we'll stand by. Managers used to pick their entire coaching staffs, and that's no longer in the game.
Tyrone flies out for the first out, and now Nori Aoki, who's 1 for 3. Well, I think managers are in a much more precarious position for a lot of reasons. You know, players understand the deal. If the front office is dictating, you know, who should play and who should have days off and what the lineup should be like, even if it's not explicit on a day-to-day basis, if they're having significant input into that, then where's the power that the manager has? You know, if you're a player, where's the hammer that the manager has over you, if not the power of the lineup?
I think in today's game, I know for one thing for certain, the coaches have absolutely zero power.
Did they ever?
Yes, they did. They were the elder statesmen. You had respect for your coaching staff. I don't know if that's there today. I don't think it is. Is it the money, Gary? What are you going to do?
Crawford guns down Aoki, 2 away. Well, again, it's I think it's different for pitchers. I think pitchers have a very close relationship with their pitching coach, certainly the better pitching coaches, because that's essential.
Right, and that goes right into how I said why, you know, the pitching coaches are so important. You heard what Syndergaard said regarding Dan Warthen. That's loyalty right there, appreciation and thanks. And what more can you ask for? But I mean, the third base coach is the third base coach. The first base coach is the first base coach. It's very important to have a good third base coach. That's number 2 on my list. The other you can put all together as one in importance.
Phil Evans has been on base 3 times today, a hit batsman and 2 walks. So he's had 5 plate appearances in this series, and he's reached safely in all 5. His on base percentage up to .405. And Milner gets ahead of him 1 and 2. Now the 1-2, and the backdoor slider misses. 2-2 to Evans. Two coming on the inside corner. Good inning for Milner. He sets the Mets down 1-2-3. 7th inning stretch time. Still 6-0 Phillies. role is going to be in the postseason for the Twins if they get beyond the wild card game. Do they keep him on the postseason roster? Does he work out of the bullpen? Do they give him a start? What's going to happen with Bart?
I think if he's on the postseason roster, he's going to be long relief.
Rafael Montero set to start his second inning of relief. It's the final game of the season, and Ron and Keith and Steve and I will be heading off in different directions.
Yep, yeah, I'll miss you.
And,
a little bit.
You know, you get to see our faces and hear our voices over the course of 162 games plus spring training. The people you don't get to see are vastly more important to this broadcast and the way it operates. And you know, we have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people who we rely on: camera people, tape operators, technical folks, etc., etc. But there are 4 guys who form the core of our operation, who are with us every step of the way, virtually every day all season. And I think it's important that people hear and know their names, because they are the guts of this operation. Talking about our associate producers, John DeMarsico and Eddie Warman, both of whom have stepped up into even more significant roles this year. Our director, Dan Barr, in his first full season as our director, has done an almost impossible job, which is replacing the late Bill Webb. And our producer, Greg Picker, who has been with us since day one on SNY and is by any measure the greatest asset that any broadcast operation could ever have. So those 4 people deserve your plaudits for making these broadcasts what they are.
I agree 100%. They're the big 4, and we do lean on them. Greg, our producer, very innovative and imaginative concepts to bring a different view to the broadcast. He's been of enormous help for me in advancing my career. I've already told Greg that, but I'll say it publicly now. I owe Greg a lot. Dan Barr did a terrific job at his first year as full director, and it's been seamless, really. Life goes on. 12 years, Garrett.
Williams lines one in front of Aoki for a 1-out hit. And don't forget the younger guys, because you know, DeMarsico had a really important job this year. He was the curator for our Instagram account in its fledgling season.
And he's recently married. He calmed down.
Well, and Eddie Warman, he just got engaged too.
I know.
They're all growing up. They grow up so quickly, Keith.
Well, I'm just glad I'm past that.
Forever? Can you give us a guarantee on that? 1 out and 1 on, and Maikel Franco coming up. Hit a 3-run homer back in the 4th inning. And you know, we ran all our credits after the last home game on Wednesday, but there are a couple of people who were not on that list who we have to acknowledge as well, because of their daily assistance. One is Jay Horwitz, now in his 63rd season as Mets Media Relations Director, and I only exaggerate slightly. He and his staff are priceless as far as helping us out on a day-by-day basis. And nobody is more committed to the Mets and their success and puts in more hours than Jay does.
Well, I've known Jay since I was traded over. He's been there that long. I knew him before, but he was the visiting PR guy, and you know, didn't really get to know him as a Cardinal. But I got to know Jay. I considered Jay a very dear friend, even though he supposed to pick me up in Montreal on the trade, and he couldn't find me, and I had to get a cab to my first game in a Met uniform. But I've forgiven Jay, and we always have a big laugh about it. So,
fortunately, that's not his main job.
Yes,
picking people up at the airport.
I blame Frank on that one. Why in the world would you send Jay to go pick someone up at the airport?
Full count to Franco. And I also, because it is likely his last day as Mets manager, I really want to thank Terry Collins. I mean, I've been here 29 years now with the Mets, been through 9 different managers, and there is nobody who has helped us out in terms of helping us understand the game and to do our jobs better than Terry has.
Agreed, 100%. I will miss Terry, but we'll see him in spring quite a bit.
Well, it sounds as though he's going to be doing work in the organization, so that's a good thing.
Yes, because he's a baseball lifer, a baseball man. You know, and he, as I said in the opening, he's of my generation. And things are moving fast. We're getting more into this computerized and analytic world, the computer world, and things are changing.
And Franco strikes out on the slider. Second strikeout of the inning for Montero, and there are 2 away.
Sounds like a slider, but he just did not read it. That was not a great slider, but it was down. Got Franco out in front.
So here's Andrew Knapp, who's 1 for 2 in a walk. Did you know Andrew Knapp went to Cal Berkeley?
Really?
His dad went to Cal Berkeley, and he was a catcher and spent 11 years in the minor leagues and never got a chance in the majors. So when Andrew was a little kid, like 4 years old, his dad had always been told, you know, if you were a left-hand hitter, you probably would have made it to the big leagues.
Right.
So his mom, Andrew's mom, made him a switch hitter when he was 4 years old, so he would never have that problem.
How about that?
And he's been switch hitting ever since then, and here he is playing in the big leagues, which his dad never had a chance to do.
I would have loved to have been a switch hitter. Never had to have the curveball come at you.
Your dad wouldn't let you switch hit?
No, I think being left-handed, that's good enough. It's hard enough from one side. I have great admiration for switch hitters that do it so well. You know, Reggie Smith, Mantle,
Chipper Jones,
Howard
Johnson.
Absolutely. That's maintenance on both sides of the dish. Don't bite your nails, Gary. Come on.
He's been biting my nails for 55 years. It's not going to stop now. 3-1 to now.
This is not exactly a nail biter here, you know.
Do people really bite their nails when the game is close? Does that really happen?
I think when people are nervous and under a pressure situation, people have different ways of reacting.
Well, I'm not feeling any pressure at all right now.
You shouldn't.
We don't know when our first spring training game is yet, right? Be sometime late February.
I'm not worrying about that. That's the furthest thing from my mind.
I'm just saying that'll be the next time that we'll be on the air together, whenever that first spring training broadcast is. And Knapp gets a piece of it to stay alive.
We'll have our annual get-together before spring with all the crew we just mentioned, the 4 in the truck, Greg and those guys. We'll have our annual dinner in spring training.
You mean Greg, Dan, John, and the driver?
The driver, Ronnie, me, and the play-by-play guy. And by the way, we're going to have a better restaurant to eat at this year.
We better. Knapp strikes out on the slider. Good inning for Montero. He strikes out 3, and we head for the 8th. That's down 6-0 in Philly. Oh, that's Keith right before he injured his knee.
That's right. Look at RJ.
Little Ronnie.
Oh, that was in Seattle with the police officer. Oh,
Keith on the pony.
That's heading out. That's where I'm heading, folks.
Oh, and look at those two dudes.
Oh, very cool. Oh, who wears the pants in that family?
I got the big girls there. They are spectacular. I am merely their curator. If you want more of that, check out our Instagram account at Gary Keith Ron.
Wasn't that a little cuddly little chubby baby?
On the horse?
Yes.
Yeah, you were cute. Your little hat.
Oh, the Wild Wild West.
Yeehaw. Brandon Nimmo leading off the 8th inning. 0 for 2 and a walk. Facing Hobie Milner, working his 2nd inning of relief. Mets have been limited to just 2 hits this afternoon. Well, Marcelo Zuna just homered for the Marlins. He's got 37.
Wow.
But Stanton still has 59. Grounded slowly. It's a foul ball. Came off Nimmo's foot.
He's running out of time, Mr. Stanton. 7th inning, bottom of the 7th.
Probably has one more.
One more crack, yeah.
Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30. All the regular season MLB finale day highlights. And of course the football and the golf. Geico Sports Night tonight at 10:30, only on SNY, and it'll be on at 10:30 every day, all during the off season. So don't forget to tune in. I mean, just because the baseball season ends as Nimmo strikes out looking, Geico Sports Night goes on. Second strikeout for Milner. 1 down in the 8th. Here's Dom Smith, who's 0 for 2 and a walk. Dom Smith hit 6 home runs in September. The 4th rookie in Mets history to hit at least 6 home runs in September/October. The others, Greg Jeffries hit 8 home runs in '89 as a rookie. David Wright hit 7 in September in '04 as a rookie. That's popped up into shallow center, and Crawford goes out and over the shoulder makes the grab.
Easy catch.
And the 3rd guy other than Smith to hit that many home runs in his rookie season in September was Mike Jacobs, who had that strong finish in 2005 before the Mets traded him to get Carlos Delgado.
Was it 88 with Jeffries?
No, well, he was still a rookie in '89 because he came up briefly '87, briefly '88, but he still had rookie status in '89. So that extended rookie.
My last year, I was finished. That old broken kneecap.
'89 was a big transitional year.
Well, they did fine in '90. They just folded in the end, and then it went downhill.
Well, '90 was the year that Darryl sat out the last week.
Right, and it infuriated Frank Cashin.
And he left as a free agent.
Went to the Dodgers.
Signed Vince Coleman to take his place. They decided we're not going to be a power team anymore. We're going to be a speed team. Well, that didn't work.
For a variety of reasons. When did they bring in Bonilla?
That was '92. Bonilla and Eddie Murray and Brett Saberhagen, and that's the year they were really expected to contend. And that's the year that went so horribly wrong that led to the book, The Worst Team Money Could Buy. And then the next year, it got worse. '93, when they lost 103 games. That was rock bottom. So the key next year is to make sure that it's a rebound year and not a repeat of 1993. Nito pulls one down to 3rd. Franco across the diamond. 6 up and 6 down for Hobie Milner in relief. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 6-0 Philadelphia.
Anymore. Come on, guys, we're slashing prices across the board. Food is much cheaper without the ego.
Ronnie gets some revenge on Keith as he turns Keith's grill into Ron's grill on the latest episode of the SNY.TV digital series, The Amazing Life, presented by Coca-Cola. Check it out now on SNY.TV/Coca-Cola.
I thought Ronnie's episode there, is it an episode? What do you call that?
That would be an episode.
I think I was
season 2, episode 5.
I think it was funny, very funny. I laughed more than once.
By the way, this is season 56, episode 162.
56?
56.
All right, then I made a miscalculation. I thought it was the 55th. So it's 56. So let's do this math here, Gary. I'm going to.
What do you got going?
56 years, 12 with SNY.
Right.
That's, hold on, 12, carry the 1, 11, it's 8. We've done.
We'll wait.
We've done almost 22% of the seasons. Met seasons.
To get
SNY.
Our little group here.
Can you believe that? Almost 22%.
That is pretty amazing. Because there was a lot of Mets baseball that came before.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, right?
But so I've now done more than half of the Mets seasons. 29 out of 56.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Kudos.
Thanks. And that just misses outside. Crawford's on with a leadoff walk. Second walk given up by Montero. And now the former Met Ty Kelly will pinch hit. Well, we want to wish Ronnie all the best on his postseason endeavors.
He's got the National League, he said, this year, so he's in Chicago, correct?
He'll do the Cubs National Series, I believe, but I think he does the wild card game as well. He'll do that
That's right,
Colorado-Arizona game on Wednesday for TBS.
I think Fox this year has the American League. in the divisional and league championship series.
Kelly pops one up behind second base. Cicchini takes charge of it. 1 out.
It's almost getting down to the end here, Garen. 5 outs. Get on our ship and sail off.
Ah, but sail where? Here's Cesar Hernandez. 2 for 3 and a walk today. By the way, while we were saying our thank yous before, have to mention our tech managers, Ed Ryan,
yes,
John Patton. They do all the heavy lifting.
Yes,
we're much more sedentary. Those guys are in unbelievable shape.
I always like it when we come down to Philly and they join us. Ed's always here.
John follows us everywhere on the road. So kudos to you guys. I don't know how you do what you do. Those trucks are very complicated.
It's their job.
Yeah, well, look at what we do and look at what they do.
I know. They're like, we're like the rock stars on stage, and they come and tear down the stage. On to the next town.
You're like a rock star?
You are.
Do you get a certain color of M&Ms in your dressing room? 3 walks now from Montero and 6 for the game for Met pitchers as this one continues on. First and second and 1 out for Odubel Herrera. Herrera had an RBI single in the 4th. That's smacked to center, chasing Nimmo back over his head and up over the wall for a ground rule double. Want to bring in Crawford. Hernandez allowed to stop at third. Odubel Herrera with his 42nd double of the year. Makes it 7-0 Philadelphia.
This ball was toasted. Down and out over the plate. Big open stance, but watch the leg kick and turns the back. But he's almost like a pitcher, isn't he?
10 hits for the Phillies today, 2nd for Herrera. Here's Aaron Altair, who had a double back in the 4th, and he breaks his bat, rolls one out to Evans. A run will come home. Evans throws out Altair. Smith got whacked by Altair on the way by as he tried to adjust his feet. And we'll see if Dom is okay.
Jammed him inside, shatters the bat. That's kind of goose the throw over into the runner. And his
arm hit him right in the face.
You kind of never want to come into the foul territory on a throw like that. Go get the ball in fair territory and make the tag. When you cut across, the only time I ever cut across into foul territory, he got clocked.
It's just like the play at the plate yesterday where Alfaro took the elbow
very
from
similar.
Lagares. But Dom put himself in harm's way coming across the bag like that. He's had a rough day, hasn't he?
He has. But like I said, the only time I ever came across into foul territory on a stretch, on a throw sinking into the runner, was if he was out by a mile.
Right.
And okay, fine. But if it was a close play like that, you cut off the ball in fair territory and make the tag.
So it's now 8-0 on the RBI ground out. Herrera at third with 2 down. Here's Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins has walked and struck out 3 times today. He's now 5 for 33 with no home runs against the Mets. He's 39 for 134 with 18 home runs against everybody else. Started out his career facing the Mets, went hitless the first 3 games, and the Mets have held him in check in this series as well so far. Hoskins takes below the knees, and Montero behind 3-1. Nick Williams would be next. Phillies got 6 runs in the 4th inning off Chris Flexen. They have added 2 here in the 8th against Montero. And the 3-1 slider in for a strike, full count. Slider pulled foul. Again, the 3-2, and it's inside. Ball 4. Hoskins is on. That's 4 walks from Montero. And this one's not ending easily for Rafi. And Nick Williams will come to bat with runners at the corners and 2 out.
It's coming, man.
Williams 1 for 3 and a walk today. He scored a run. He takes the changeup in the dirt for ball 1.
Well, Miami's hitting in the bottom of the 8th, Gary.
Yeah, I think Stanton's due up 5th in that inning. So he'll get an at bat one way or another, whether it's in the 8th or in the 9th. They're down 8-5. Good cut by Williams, and he fouls it back 1-1.
Well, they must have played fast games in San Francisco. They're over.
Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Anaheim,
St. Louis,
Texas,
Chicago. They're over.
They're all done inside of 3 hours. That's the way it's supposed to go on the last day. We, though, get to enjoy a little more baseball.
But no.
Williams out to center field. Racing back Nimmo. Turns around, watches it. And
oh, come on.
I think was out of here, but they're not sure. So circling the bases is Williams. And it's a 3-run homer either way. An inside the park home run for Nick Williams. 12th home run for Williams. Makes it 11-0.
I think it's a home run.
Hit. Yeah, that's still in play. And right off the padding, below the railing. So it's an inside the park home run. The ball took a huge carom away from Nimmo, and by the time Tyrone came over from right field, Williams was easily able to circle the bases.
Wow. What a way to finish the season for Philly fans. Did you see the 3 umpires?
Not a single one of them made a call.
It's like 3 blind mice, except they found themselves. They were all looking at each other, and they didn't make a call.
Not a single one of them made a call. So Williams, to his credit, kept on running, and it worked out for him. 11-0 Phils. Mets make a pitching change. We'll be right back.
Jerry Lane didn't even run out at the outfield.
Well, on the inside of the park home run by Nick Williams, not a single one of the umpires went out to the outfield to try and make a call on this ball.
Not one. They're just spectating. And I made a mistake. Jerry Lane's the first base umpire. Marvin Hudson is the second base umpire. Now, I don't know whose responsibility it is to run out there. At least put a little effort to get a better look at the ball. That's just lazy.
Jamie Callahan in to pitch. Well, in Hudson's defense, he's playing on the infield side because there's a runner at first. So I think in that situation, it's got to be one of the corner guys, either the first or third base umpire's responsibility to get out there and make that call.
Well, to me, if the ball was in play, if Hudson's out in the outfield, first base is moot. It's a double. So first base is a dead base. The first base umpire, Jerry Lane, will rotate towards second. Then everything's covered with Lane. I mean, with Hudson out in shallow center field to see where the ball is. I remember when I was playing, umpires busting out to whether the ball was down the line or in this case in the middle of the field to get a better look.
Well, what was notable here wasn't just that they didn't run out, it's that none of them made a call.
Right.
Now, it turned out the ball was in play and it went for an inside the park home run, but you have to be a little bit more demonstrative if you're a big league umpire and help out the players by making sure you go out there and make a call.
You got to make a safe call, or you do the circle with your hand and it's a home run. And fortunately for Williams, he just didn't. He busted all the way.
Yep.
Now, I hate to get on umpires, and I've been on them pretty hard this year, and to me they deserve to be getting on. It's been tough for them. They got a microscope. It's very difficult for them in the circumstances, but now it just seems like.
Stop by Rosario, and he throws out Franco to end the.
It just seems like, okay, we've got all this stuff to back us up. Fine, is that what you want? Then that's what you get.
We go to the ninth, 11-0 Phils. Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is back, looking to help local leagues in need with grants, equipment donations, clinics, and special Harlem Globetrotter experiences. Does your league need assistance? Apply today at sny.tv/playball. That's down to their final 3 outs of the season. Ahmed Rosario leads off against Yaxel Rios in the 9th.
I don't think there'll be anybody taking here. 11-0.
Rios pitched a third of an inning last night, gave up a hit and a walk. Rosario trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero in the final game of the season. He struck out 3 times, and now he's down to the count 0-2 in his 4th at bat. Kevin Plawecki is out on deck to pinch hit. We have the pitcher spot due up next. And that's lined, and the shortstop Crawford picks it off for the first out. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. Gary and the boys are ready to go. All right, Gary, now Kevin Plawecki will pinch it. Kevin had a good night last night, was on base 5 times with 2 hits and 3 walks in his last start of the season. This late season has been a nice revelation for Kevin Plawecki, the best he's looked at any time in his big league career. As the season winds down to just a couple more outs. And Plawecki quickly down in the count 0-2. Gavin Cecchini waits on deck. Rios trying to finish it off for Nick Pivetta, who went 5 scoreless innings today and is in line for his 8th win. Been all Phillies all day. The Mets have managed just 2 singles. One-two coming. Yeah, Plawecki bounces one foul. What's that feeling like in the dugout? Last game, last inning.
On a season like
bad
this?
Season.
Let's get it over with.
Just waiting to get on the bus.
Get home.
away.
Yeah, relax. Take a month off. I used to always take a month off. And then just relax. Do the things that you normally can't do. You no longer have to have a dinner. Well, with these guys, they're at the ballpark at 12 noon now, and they have 3 wonderful chefs down there for them on a full-time basis, home and away. But with us, 2 o'clock dinner had to be something to sustain you through the game.
If you've had a bad year, how much introspection goes on at this point and in the next weeks? In comes Crawford to get the hop, and a wide throw, 2 out.
Bad year from a team standpoint or individual?
Well, either one.
I think you get away from it for a month and don't think about it. But don't think that if you had a bad year, it depends where you are. The next year the season comes around, you've had a bad season, you've got to have a good one. You got to prepare for it. So, but I think you just get out of Dodge. You need R&R. It's a long year.
I think there are a lot of guys, though, in that dugout who have to be wondering, are they going to be part of this team next year? Here's Cecchini. He grounds one to short. Crawford makes the play, and the season has mercifully come to the close for the 2017 New York Mets. They go out quietly in the 9th. Terry Collins went right down the tunnel as soon as that final out was made. And all indications are he is preparing to announce his resignation in the next few minutes. And keep it tuned here for WB for WB Mason post-game live. We'll have all that for you. But a season that began with great expectation for the Mets ends with 70 wins and 92 losses. And that man, after 7 years at the helm of this ball club in good times and bad, appears to have finished his tenure as Mets manager. Time for some goodbyes and time for thoughts about how to make 2018 a better year for this franchise that had been to 2 straight postseasons, but finds itself far away from the postseason in this year, 2017. Teammates now saying goodbye, but what's next? And that's a good question. What are we supposed to do until March?
Well,
got to find a different pastime for a few months.
There's plenty of other sports out there. Baseball isn't the end all, you know. You got postseason to enjoy. We've mentioned, I think it's a terrific lineup of postseason teams. But
well, after 162 games, doing the same thing every day, tomorrow brings something different. Game summary brought to you by Jeep. Noah Syndergaard, on a positive note, gave the Mets 2 hitless innings in his second brief start back from the disabled list. Otherwise, it was all Phillies today as they dominate the Mets, and I think it is quite fitting that the Mets finished their season with the exact same record they had in 1992, which for me was the most disappointing year the Mets had ever had since I've been doing this job. This year might even outclass that in terms of what was expected and how the Mets underperformed.
Well, it started out badly from the get-go with the rash of injuries, and we mentioned the injury to Syndergaard was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. I think the club never really bounced back from that. It's just a season now that's you got to forget about it. And all you Met fans out there, I know you live and die with it. I've been around long enough now in the booth to know your pain. I don't feel your pain, but I can certainly appreciate it. And it's another year. We'll see what Sandy has to do. It's just time to, like the players, like ourselves, step back, take a deep breath, relax, go about your lives, and wait for the hot stove league. Perfect.
And clearly there's a lot for Sandy Alderson and his lieutenants to do in the offseason. So what's the one thing you'll be most interested in seeing during this offseason as far as what the Mets do?
Well, obviously, number one, if there's a new manager, that's something that's going to be number